1. The Last Locker. In mid-October, a major renovation of the old West Wing at Headley High School in Headley, Maryland began. These hallways hadn't been used in nearly 20 years. They had been closed after a basement fire in 2003. The walls were cracked, the plaster had crumbled, and the ceiling tiles had sagged from moisture. Contractors were breaking open lockers to remove metal panels. Everything was on schedule until they reached locker number 367. Its door was rusty, but the lock looked new. It wouldn't budge with a bolt cutter or a crowbar. The engineer speculated that it might have been replaced by someone after the fire, although access to that wing was strictly forbidden. A locksmith was called in. When the door finally gave way, all they found inside was a notebook, a moldy jacket, and an empty aluminum flask. There were deep scratches on the back wall, as if someone had tried to break through it from the inside. The notebook was handed over to the administration. On the first page was a name, Thomas Keener, grade 11. There was no record of such a student in the school database. But the librarian, who had worked there since the 90s, turned pale when she heard the name. She remembered the boy who disappeared in 2003. Thomas was an introvert, loved chemistry lab, and was often alone after school. The school didn't make a fuss then. There was no body, no footprints. No one reported him missing. They said he had simply run away from home. Inside the notebook were sketches of formulas, notes about loneliness and fear, and the last pages, scratched, illegible, as if written in panic. After the discovery, the school experienced an increase in power outages. Motion sensors activated for no reason. Cameras in the West Wing began recording at night, picking up strange noises, scraping metal, footsteps, barely audible breathing. A month after the locker was opened, one of the workers died. He fell down the stairs while trying to replace tile in the same hallway. Footage from his chest camera showed him turning around sharply before he fell, as if someone had called his name. Locker 367 was sealed again. The corridor's been closed indefinitely, officially due to wiring problems. But in the evenings, the janitors pass by and hear a rhythmic tapping sound coming from behind the door, just as if someone inside is still hoping to be heard. 2. Camp Redwood, 1972. In the summer of 1972, Camp Redwood in Maine closed after one of the most confusing tragedies in the region's history. According to the official story, 8 teenagers went missing overnight. Their tent was at the southern edge of the woods, closer to the old mines. A day later, the alarm was raised and the search began. No bodies or traces were found. For almost 50 years, the area had been closed. The ground had grown mossy, the wooden structures had crumbled, and the paths had disappeared under a layer of leaves. In 2021, a local historian secured permission to film a documentary project about the abandoned camps. A team of 3 traveled to Redwood. At first, everything seemed ordinary, a typical abandoned camp. But on the first night, the cameras detected strange things: leaves crunching outside the camp, boards creaking as if someone was walking in an old barn. On the second day, the team found an unmarked map with Point 9 circled with a pen. The site turned out to be an old fire pit, half filled with earth. Around it were items: partially rotted shoes, aluminum spoons, a whistle, a burned note with the name Melissa on it. They lowered the camera down the shaft on a rope. At a depth of about 30 feet, the lens caught the outline of a child's hand, black from the cinders, but with a clearly visible camp bracelet. A second later, the camera cut off, and the cable began to tighten, as if someone was dragging it down. The team left the camp, but one of the participants went missing a week later. His car was found near the redwoods with a number scrawled on the windshield. 1972. Now the camp is officially closed, but rumor has it that at night you can still hear someone's whistle blowing from deep in the woods there. Local hunters avoid the place. It's believed that 8 teenagers never left the camp and are still waiting to be found. 3. The last call. A small nighttime gas station in Texas, off Highway 281, was open 24 hours a day. In July 2016, a girl named Sandra, a student working part-time at night, got a job here. The store was small. There were hardly any customers at night. The cameras, lamps, coffee machine, everything was old, but it worked. On her second week on the job, Sandra received her first strange call. The automated line recorded an incoming call at exactly 3:33 a.m. On the recording, silence. Then a short, barely audible sigh, as if someone had drawn in air to say something, but couldn't. Such calls began to recur every night. She didn't pay much attention until one morning, she found a lottery ticket on the counter. It wasn't for sale. The cameras showed a white light flashing on the screen of the terminal at 3:33. Then the picture abruptly stopped. After that, the room began to malfunction. Lights went off. Refrigerators were opened accidentally. One day, while checking the back door, Sandra noticed barefoot footprints on the floor. They led from the door to the cash register and disappeared. Management decided to install an updated tracking system. That same night, a camera captured a figure. Tall, thin, with a blurred face, as if distorted. She was standing right at the counter, as if waiting for something. The footage lasted exactly 3 minutes and 33 seconds. A week later, Sandra disappeared. There was no sign of a struggle inside. The camera records her going to the phone at 3:33 a.m. Then the frame freezes. The last frame recorded is an empty cash register. The entrance is open, and the cash register monitor screen pops up. Next, the store has closed. The owners are not commenting, but police say 4 employees have already gone missing at this gas station since 2010, and they all have one oddity. The last incoming phone call was always at 3:33.